Moving on to the very interesting poem, Grandma Climbs a Tree. When we heard this chapter title, we may surprisingly doubting that is it possible for a grandmother in her old age climbing up a tree? Yes, it's our great poet and the writer Ruskin Bond's grandmother who passionate for climbing up the tree from the very young age and still doing the same in the age of 62. This is one of the most specialties of Ruskin Bond's works that he portrays his own life events very beautifully. Moving on to the poem in detail.
Grandma climbs a tree. My grandmother was a genius. You would like to know why? Because she could climb trees, spreading or high. She would be up their branches in a trice, and mind you, when last she climbed a tree, she was 62. Ever since childhood, she had this gift for being happier in a tree than in a lift. Look at the meaning of this stanza. The poet begins the poem by calling his grandmother genius, as she could climb any type of tree, whether the tree was high or big and spreading. The speaker in the poem doesn't call his grandmother childish. According to him, she was genius because she was skillful and she can climb any type of trees, tireless at the age of 62. She had such an unusual gift of life since childhood. She was very happy in a tree than in a lift of cities. She doesn't like materialistic life, but she likes nature. Move on. And though, as years went by, she would be told that climbing trees should stop when one grew old, and that growing old should be gone about gracefully. She would laugh and say, "Well, I will grow old disgracefully. I can do it better," and we had to agree. See, as she grew old, she was advised by her family members and neighbors not to climb trees as it looked disgraceful. But she refused their advice and said, she will grow disgracefully. Moving on, she had not been up at one time or another, but it was feared by all that one day she would have a terrible fall. Which means that she had learned it from her brother when she was 6 years old. But the whole family was worried and tensed about the grandmother because they feared that one day she might fall or injure from a tree. Moving on, the outcome was different. While we were in town, she climbed a tree and could not come down. We went to the rescue, and then the doctor took Granny's temperature and said, I strongly recommended a quiet week in bed. Yes, one day her family members were in a town. She got a chance to climb a tree, but unfortunately she couldn't come down. She was rescued by the family members. Then doctor came and checked her temperature. He strongly recommended her to take 1 week bed rest. Move on. We sighed with relief and tucked her up well. Poor Granny, for her it was like a season in hell. Confined to her bedroom, while every breeze whispered of summer and dancing leaves, then sat up and said, I will lie here no longer. Yes, everyone is relieved because it prevents Grandma from climbing the tree. Of course, it was like a brief season in hell to her, so she felt very unhappy because she is missing trees climbing and scenic beauty of the nature. And she sat up and declares that she is no longer confined to the bed. Move on. And she called for my father and told him undaunted that a house in a treetop was what she wanted. My dad knew his duties. He said, That's all right. You will have what you want here. I will start work tonight. With my expert assistance, he soon finished the core, made here a tree house with windows and a door. Which means that Grandma called her son, that is Ruskin Bond's father, and requested him without any hesitation to build a new house in the tree top. Her son was so obedient to her. On the same night, he built a new house in the tree top with the help of his son Ruskin Bond. Moving on to the last stanza. So Granny moved up, and now every day I climb to her room with glasses and tray. She sits there instead and drinks grape juice with me, upholding her right to reside in a tree. So Grandma shifted to new house in the treetop, where she was drinking sherry, which means grape wine, with her grandson Ruskin Bond. She had a wonderful time on the treetop. Thus, the granny enjoyed her unusual gift of life in nature. My dear students, hope you have enjoyed this poem. The summary of the poem is important for your board exam. See you soon with another chapter. Thank you. Take care.